Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. And in honor of the Lillooet, the Village of Pemberton acknowledges that we are meeting within the unceded territory of the Lillooet Nation. And as far as the agenda, I'd like to, is there a recommendation that the agenda be approved as presented?
Just to note is that Trevor is here. He's in the attendees. So he is another member of the board and could raise his hand to approve.
Can he not be upgraded to join as a panelist?
Been invited to join as a panelist, so
Okay.
we can accept it.
So Trevor, I know you're driving, but if you could accept that invitation. There he is. Okay, thank you. You can keep your screen off, no problem. But maybe when you want to speak, just unmute yourself. Okay.
Okay. So do I have anyone to approve the agenda, please?
I'll approve it.
Okay, Tom. And seconded. Trevor.
And second.
Trevor. Okay. The minutes for the last board meeting, the Board of Variance meeting, July 28th. Can I make a recommendation that the minutes of the Board of Variance meeting held on July 28th be adopted as circulated?
So you would need a mover and a seconder for that?
Yeah.
I'll move on that.
Now I can second.
Thanks, Trevor. Okay. So moving along to item number 4, we have Lot 9, Phase 2A, Sunstone Ridge. And is this where we would be getting some direction from the village?
Yes. So Cameron Chalmers will be presenting this report to the Board of Variance. So Trevor, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see the slideshow, but Cameron's just put a PowerPoint up on the screen. So he's going to present now.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening to the board. The purpose of tonight's presentation is for the board to consider an application for variance at Sunstone. Let me back up here. The application is to vary the front yard setback, in this instance for a garage, from 5 meters to 2 meters on a lot that's part of a proposed subdivision in what's known as Phase 2A of Sunstone. So this isn't an existing lot. It's not an existing structure. It is to facilitate future development of the lot. And I'll explain the rationale in a moment. Not sure how clearly the map comes out, but you can see this is the Sunstone development generally on the hillside. Phase 2A is the phase that we're contemplating this evening. It's the Phase 2A subdivision application is in process. We've reviewed the subdivision file. The approving officer has issued something called a tentative approval letter, which is a letter that outlines the conditions and prerequisites to final subdivision approval and indicates that the subdivision will move ahead. The subdivision and the proposed development is consistent with the residential Sunstone Amenity 1 or RSA 1 zone. One of the things that's changed over the last little while is the village is evolving its approach to hillside development. And as part of that, this is one of the first instances where a developer on the hillside is being asked to undertake fairly substantive grading and retention work, planning and engineering before the subdivision is approved. So they will be they filed a development permit application, and the development permit will establish the building elevations and envelopes, and importantly, the retention structure necessary to make this hillside project work. So with that as the background, that's what's brought this application forward. So you can see in this image the subdivision proposed layout. The lot that we're dealing with, and it's only one of the 15 lots proposed in the subdivision, is identified in this plan as lot 9. And what the request is for is, as you can see on the topography map, there's some dramatic topography on that hillside. And as part of the effort to reduce the impact of hillside development, which effectively is minimizing the amount of retaining walls and grading and cutting and filling, we've asked the proponents to get quite creative in how they approach some of these hillside development matters. On lot 9, one of the solutions was to allow the garage structure, which is located adjacent to the road, to encroach into the setback. That will enable a different driveway alignment, which is necessary on this portion of the hillside, as well as leave most of the rear yard in a more natural state, minimizing the cutting and filling. So the proponent is here. They will explain the rationale in perhaps a little more detail than I will, but that's the background under which the application is brought forward. So the request in itself is quite simple. It's to vary the front yard setback from 5 meters as required by zoning to 2 meters as proposed on the drawing. There's a draft. I haven't done a board of variance file here, but this is the general framework for your resolution. So there's a number of options available to you. You can approve the variance as presented. You can approve the variance with conditions. You can reject the variance, or you can defer the making decision on the variance based on it perhaps not being a minor request. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd be open to any questions, and then it would be appropriate to hear from the applicant or any other interested party.
Okay, thanks. So at this point, do we put the floor on to the applicant?
No, questions from the board first.
Yeah, if the board members have any questions of staff, now would be the time to ask each person, and then you can open up the Zoom to allow the applicant to present.
No questions here. The seems straightforward.
I didn't get a chance to go through all the documents that they presented. On that section at the base of the wall, there's no right of way for any services in that section of 2 meters, is there?
Mr. Chairman, through with a public subdivision, all of the services are located within the road right of way.
Yeah.
I'll go back to one of the drawings. One of the things that happens that's unresolved is from time to time, there's these mid-block turnarounds that are proposed, and they often happen at phase boundaries like this. There is an opportunity for the road to extend. One of the tentative approval letter contains the option to have the road allowance continue as a normal road allowance, and for the cul-de-sac to be done as a statutory right of way. And I'm not sure if they're going to pursue that as part of this subdivision, but what that means is that on a map, the road would look straight, the road allowance, and these cul-de-sac bulbs, if necessary, until the future phase is built out, would be secured by statutory right of way. But I'll maybe more appropriate for the applicant to address whether or not they're pursuing that by road dedication or right of way, but there won't be any services or utilities that will be impacted within that setback.
All right, thanks. Any other questions?
No, nothing from me.
Okay. Well, at this point, then we would be able to bring in the applicant.
Yep, he's just being promoted right now.
Trying to get connected here. I just got disconnected. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you, Grant.
Okay, I missed a bit of that. I guess I am supposed to speak now. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Grant Campbell. I represent the applicant, Sunstone Developments. And Cameron gave a good overview. I'll just add to that a little bit. As Cameron said, we've done extensive investigation into lot grading for all the lots in this phase of Sunstone because of the difficult terrain. And what we've got is a steeply sloping hillside. And for this particular lot, what we found was that because of the bulb that's required in the road right of way, it pushes back on where the house can be located. It sets it back an extra 5 meters or so. And to answer Cameron's question and yours, Phil, we will be going with the road right of way as shown on the drawing, which will be offset a few meters from the edge of pavement. We won't be going straight through. So all utilities will be in the road right of way, but because of the bulb, the house is pushed back an extra 5 meters or so. And what that does is require the house to be lower than other houses in on the low side of the road there. And in order to get the house lower, what we have to do is have the driveway as long as possible and as steep as possible, going down to a garage as shown in the picture. And that is in order to keep the house from being pushed back too far. We want the garage to be within that 5 meter setback. We want it as close as 2 meters to the front property line. So that's with a steep driveway going down to a garage. Only the garage will be within 2 meters of the property line, and that will allow the house to stay as low as possible, thus minimizing the amount of retaining walls that are required for development of the site. So that's really what's happening there. I would like to point out that in the rationale statement that was submitted with the application, there is an error. It's on page 16 of your agenda package if you read it. Under rationale, it says in the second paragraph, third line, that there's a long driveway terminating as high on the site as possible. That is an error. It should have been terminating as low on the site as possible for the reasons I just explained. So that's what we're applying for and the rationale for it. Are there any questions of me?
If I understand the drawings, Grant, it's just one corner of the garage that will project into that or close to the 2 meter setback. That's correct?
Yes, that is a concept drawing.
It's concept,
it's not what will actually be built. It just shows that for that concept, which somebody can follow because this will be registered on title, just as a concept. But the corner of the garage that's shown will be 2 meters from the property line.
Yeah.
Zoning bylaw currently requires buildings to be 5 meters from the property line. So that concept will be, the corner of it will be 2 meters from property line.
And is there any sort of a cross-section description at elevation?
In the agenda package on pages 20 and 21, there is the plan view that Cameron showed, plus cross sections through the site on page 21 of your agenda package. And they show 4 cross sections, including one along the driveway. I notice I haven't got video on my screen for my picture. Can anyone see my face? Or, oh, it says here, start my video. Not that it will help. There we go. Okay, now I can see if I'm lined up. There we go.
That's better. Hello.
I
Yeah.
wasn't intentionally being anonymous there.
Phil, would you like Cameron to bring up the picture of the lot again on the screen?
It was just out of interest. Was there a retaining structure immediately adjacent planned on that concept? You know, to support the road.
Yes, there will be a retaining structure to support the road, and that will have to be a properly designed retaining structure. It is being proposed as part of the subdivision that's being built. It's fully engineered.
And that structure stays within the road. Right.
That's correct. That's within the road right of way, and it's part of the municipal servicing that is occurring.
Okay. Is there any other questions, Tom or Trevor?
I don't really have a question. I do have a comment. This, I guess this concept exists in a bylaw in Whistler on steep lots over a percentage grade. There's a reduction in the front setback that allows garages and auxiliary to move closer to the road. So it's not, it's not a foreign concept. To just exactly for exactly these reasons to minimize impact.
Okay. Is there any other questions, Tom?
No, nothing from me. It's pretty clear.
Okay. Did anybody wish to make any recommendation whether which option you'd like to take on this?
We have to open the floor to the public. So I'm going to demote Grant as an applicant, as a participant, sorry.
Okay.
And then we'll open like you have to open the floor to the public and ask if the public has any questions, they can raise their hand.
Okay, well, at this point, I'd like to open the floor to the
Oh, it's gone.
Oh, hold on a second. He's in between stage right now. Bring him back.
Trevor, if you don't mind, just perhaps you could ask if there's any questions from the floor.
Yeah, I'm in a better now. So yeah.
It looks like Phil Reed is able to, he's back.
Yeah,
So-
he's back. Just give him one moment.
Okay, no panic.
There we go. Sorry, Phil, you got pushed into a different role there.
That's okay.
So if you just want to re-ask the question about the public.
Yeah, we just wanted to see at this point if there was any input from any other parties and from the public.
And if you're in the attendees section, you can use the raise hand function and promote you as a panelist. Okay, I'm not seeing any raised hands.
No. Okay, if that's the case, then yeah, this would be the time for the Board of Variance to deliberate.
Hey, Tom, Trevor, would there be any deliberation from either of you?
Well,
I-
for me, I don't see an issue with any of this. I mean, looking at the law, I totally understand the rationale and why they would want to move that in. It makes a lot of sense. It would make building on that site a lot simpler. There's a number of sites around there that are very similar to this, and they are very challenging. So I don't think there's a huge impact by moving it. So, I mean, I'd be in favor of approving the variance.
And Trevor, have you any comments on deliberation on this?
Similar thoughts as Tom, really. It makes good sense and is, proactive in a way, so that this lot doesn't come back to Board of Variance in a few months' time or a few years' time when it comes to develop it. So it's a good fit for this particular situation. I'm generally in favor of it.
Okay, and would one of you want to recommend an acceptance of that without, with or without any conditions?
Yeah, I can set a motion to approve that with no conditions.
Okay, would you second that, Trevor?
Yep, I would second that.
Okay, well, that would be carried. And at this point, do we have any new business?
No new business. All I can advise is that we have some new staff joining the village of Pemberton. So I will no longer be the manager of development services as of October 4th. So we have a new manager coming in, and I'm just transitioning into a different position with the village. I'll be leading the update of the official community plan. We also have a new planner too, and his name is Colin Brown, and he's been attending the meeting tonight and watching and observing. So he may be the staff person moving forward that will be working with the Board of Variance. And yeah, so if needed, the next meeting will be, where's my table? October 27th.
Right. Okay, well, thank you for that. And I guess we'll be missing you on the next one.
All right. Thank you,
Okay.
everyone, for your continued volunteerism. We really appreciate it.
All right, no worries. Thank you.
Okay, and I'll call the meeting for
Okay.
adjournment. Okay,
All right.
thanks a lot.
Thank you,
All
Phil.
right, cheers.
I appreciate you standing in as a chair tonight.
Okay,
Yeah, thanks, Phil.
thanks, no problem. All right.
All right.